Hey everyone, and welcome to FabFit TV. I am your host, Kim Barnes Jefferson. I help women to find the courage to break free of the rules and the doubts that keep them stuck from living a life of infinite possibilities. So, here we are, we're in October, which I really can't believe that it's already October. And one of the things that I'm kind of, and I talked the last time I was on, talking about how do we get through the next 90 days, or well, less than 90 days, and without kind of blowing ourselves off. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, when it comes to like diet and exercise, so many of us get caught up in the minutia, caught up in the little things, that we start chasing all these like white rabbits that we're not really focusing on things that we are able to focus on. And so what the heck does that mean? So what that means is I want you to think about where you are. And I live my life by this Arthur Ashe quote because it literally breaks down life in like 3 lines. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So over the course of the show, I'm going to really kind of like hone in on that. And I find that we can make fitness this big thing, or we can make it this little thing. And I used to make it this big thing. So I don't want you to think that I'm like, shaming anyone. I used to make it this big thing, and if I didn't have, move all of these things all at the same time, juggle all the balls at the same time, I might as well not do it versus focusing on one particular activity at a time. And it's really easy for us to overthink because if you think about pretty much anything in this life, it's like, you got to be the perfect this or the best this or the greatest this. And it's really easy to feel inferior if you're not able to be, that woman with a cape on your back while, carrying a baby, carrying a briefcase, and cooking dinner. So what I found is that when we scale things back and we focus on what we can easily do, it makes everything else possible. It's creates like a nice little domino because you start to build up wins under your belt. And the more wins you rack up underneath your belt, the more excited you are to do it. Because if you feel like a loser, are you ever going to want to do anything? You're going to ever want to try because you're like, I'm just a loser. Where if I rack wins up underneath my belt, I feel excited. I feel like, okay, what's next? What's next? I got this. So I've come to this framework that I call the reality diet. And in reality, there's 6 big blocks that we need to move in order to get the results that we like. And do you have to move all these blocks at the same time? No. And I've put them in order of where I think you should start. So if right now you're just like, I'm a big old mess, I have no idea where to start, I'm going to say, start with your sleep. And so many people are like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I feel you. We're just, in our society today, it's just like, go, 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 go. But I want you to think about sleep as your cell phone. You would never think of not leaving your house without your cell phone charger. If you were going out for the day, you would be like, I need to bring my cell phone charger. Or if you were going to bed at night, you would not think about not plugging that in. That is you, my love. You need a Mophie just as much as your phone needs a Mophie. And if you don't know what a Mophie is, it's one of those little extra battery packs, right? You need that just as much as your phone. And I want you to think about, how like if you ever like walk past like a store overnight and you start seeing them stocking the shelves and they're mopping the floor and all that stuff, that's exactly what happens in your body. There's certain processes that do not happen until you're asleep. That it needs you to be completely at rest in order for it to go through and fix and repair all the damage that we do all day long. So I want you to think about, how can I prioritize sleep? And I've had a few shows that I've talked about sleep because it is a precious jewel. And, the biggest thing I tell people is that you really need to set a bedtime. You need to have a point in your night where you're telling your body, we need to chill out and start to head to bed. And so that means, for some people, they can read on their phone and go to bed. Some people, the blue light affects them. So totally, it's up to you. People will even wear those, you know, blue light glasses. I mean, you can take it to the nth degree, but my biggest thing that I want to say to you, I want you to focus on getting at least 7 hours of sleep. And the beauty, if you have an iPhone, in the clock app, I think I can show it here. In the clock app, they actually have a bedtime feature. So I can easily, I think if I put it closer, I can easily set what my bedtime is. I can set the days and time of my bedtime, and my phone will vibrate. And it'll say, okay, girl, it's time for you to go to bed. And it'll also tell me, like, if I say I want to get 7 hours of sleep, it'll tell me what time I have to go to bed. So if I want to get 7 hours of sleep, I need to be in bed at 10 a.m. Oh, sorry, 10 a.m. 10 p.m. so I can get up at 5 a.m. And I could set it for how many days of the week, and it sets an alarm and all of that magical stuff. The same thing, I'm not wearing it right now, but your Fitbit does the same thing. You could set an alarm to say, hey girl, it's time for you to chill it out and start to head to bed. So that's one step, because when you don't get enough sleep, this is what happens. Whenever your snacking hour is, I call it the witching hour, you reach for those quick fixes. Those quick fix sugary meals to get you moving. And if I want you to think about, now that I've brought this into your awareness, I want you to start to think about, on the days that you feel snacky, what was your sleep like? Maybe you got in the bed for 7 hours, but you didn't really get a good night's sleep. And that's the one thing I like about the Fitbit, is that it'll tell you what type of sleep that you're getting. And then, if you don't get enough sleep, you get snacky, you're starting to eat all these excess sugary treats to get the energy, and then that eventually adds up, and then eventually, you're putting on the pounds, and you're eventually like, how the hell did this happen? So the first step I want you to focus is on your sleep. If you're sleeping like a rock, then you could check that off the list, and you can move on to step 2. So step 2 is stress. Now, I get it. There are periods of time that we are stressed out. Last week, I was a hot mess, but this week I'm much better. But what I'm talking about is that person who is constantly at like stress level DEFCON 10. And they're stressed to the max. They're always in this in their brain is this fight or flight. And your brain has no idea that you're stressed out because you got bills due. You're stressed out because little Johnny is sick. You're stressed out about, something that's happening with a family member or happening with you. It doesn't know that it is an instant. It thinks that it's back in prehistoric times and we're trying to outrun a saber-toothed tiger. So the same biological processes happen. So we're pushing on our adrenals to pump out the cortisol. The cortisol runs out thinking that we're going to have to either, fight or run away. And then the cortisol pumps out, and it's like, hey, where's the fight? I don't have to run. And instead of, going back into storage, it's going back into long-term storage. It's going to stay in short-term storage because it's like, well, maybe the danger is just this far away. So I want you to think about, what are ways that you can better manage your stress? I get it. We do live in a very stressful society. There are times that there are periods of time that you are stressed out. It's just a matter of how do you recognize when you are stressed out, and what are the steps that you can do to kind of bring it down a level so that you can get through this without taking a toll on your body. Because most of our diseases now in the US primarily are lifestyle related. So if it's not what we're eating, it's the level of stress that we have, that, the stress raises our blood pressure, the blood pressure raises the output of our heart. It also pushes on our arteries. So there's all these different, micro systems in our body that stress has a way of like upping it. Stress also is another way to increase that cortisol. So we're all trying to figure out ways and, pushing on those adrenals where we might have adrenal fatigue, where we're like, no matter what we do, we're always gosh darn tired. So I want you to think about what are ways that you can best manage your stress. It could be getting to bed on time. It could be having conversations, uncomfortable conversations with people and setting boundaries. It could be saying no more often. It could be meditation. It could be going to yoga. I remember several years ago when I was working for in corporate, I was a stress ball. Like I'm an A++ with a side of A++ kind of person. And I was always stressed out. And I remember going to my doctor and I was like, you got to help me out. I'm having headaches. My stomach is a mess. And she's like, it's stress. And she recommended that I read Don't Sweat the Small Stuff and go to yoga. Now, at the time, I wanted a pill because I took time off of work. But at the end of the day, it was the best prescription she had ever given me. So manage your stress, my friends. Manage your stress. Now, here's where third comes, is nutrition. Now, most people would have thought I would put nutrition up front. But here's where nutrition comes in, because Jack LaLanne says it best. Nutrition is queen and fitness is king. Yes, I think you should work out. And a lot of people will do the workout part, but not do the nutrition part. Or they'll do the nutrition part and not do the workout part. It's hand in hand. You don't see many monarchies with just a king. There's always a queen. And so I want you to think about, your nutrition and fitness side by side. But the first lever that I want you to pull is on the nutrition side, because you can't, there's no on-off switch where I went to the gym, I burnt up this many calories so I can eat that many calories. There's not a 1-for-1 ratio with that. I know so many people think it is. Sorry, busted miss up in here. But there's no 1-to-1 ratio. If I work out, I can eat whatever I want. Nope, not possible. I'm sorry. So what I want you to do when you're in your nutrition, I want you to aim for 1 to 2 cups of vegetables. 90% of all the food logs that I look at, that's what's missing. They'll have a, sprinkle here, sprinkle there, but there's not a concerted effort to have vegetables. The beauty thing about vegetables is it has fiber. Fiber helps you to eliminate a lot of the waste in your system. 2, it also helps you to build and repair muscle when you have the vegetables. And protein. Protein with every meal. A lot of times I see people will have just fruit, or they'll have just rice cakes. Protein is very, very satiating. And, I want you to think about, depending on the person, having anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces of protein with every single meal that you have. And I want you, a lot of people will be like, I'm going to have a perfect diet. Well, good luck to you, because I've never met a perfect person. Or if they are perfect, at some point they burnt right the heck out. And they say, throw their hands up in the air and they're heading for the all-you-can-eat buffet. I don't want that for you, my loves. So I ask for you to aim for 80%. I think I've talked about this on a few shows about, I call it my compliance grid. And if you say you eat 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals a week that you're eating. If I were to say, take 80% of those meals and have them be, great meals, and then the other 20% of those meals, have it be fun meals. I don't believe in cheat days for sure, because I think that is really gets you off the rails, but I do believe in treat meals. I do believe that if your kid has a birthday party, you shouldn't be the one over there in the corner having rice cakes or carrots and a jug of water. I think you should have cake with your kids on their birthday. Or if you're on vacation, I think that if everyone's having an ice cream cone, you should sit down and have an ice cream cone with your family, so that you show that food has no control over you. And that's what I really work a lot with my clients about. Food has no power. You give food the power. So that's where I want you to think of. I have my clients create what I call a compliance chart, and if that's something that you're interested in, do me a favor and shoot me an email, squadleader@fabfitsquad.com, and in the subject line put compliance grid, and basically it's a grid that you can easily, type in on your computer or put an X and just kind of say, here was a good day, here was a good day, here was a good day, here was a good day. And then you can, plan out where you're going to have your treat meal. For example, I know I'm going away for the weekend, so I'm getting in all my workouts now, and I'm making sure all my food is, right on, spot on, so that I can have fun meals while while I'm away for the weekend. So when it comes to fitness, I used to be that person who was like, if I couldn't work out for 2 hours, I might as well not work out. I remember being so pissed off if my husband wanted to leave the gym before I was even ready. And now I have come to a place where I just say, I need to move my body for at least 30 minutes. And it could be anything, but I have to move my body for at least 30 minutes. In that way, I've shifted my perspective where I'm not skipping workouts because they have to be these beast mode crazy workouts. I'm now saying, a 30-minute walk is enough. It could be me, going down in my basement and doing 3 or 4 exercises and being done. Or it could be I do have an hour and I can put that hour in. But the biggest thing is just to do it, just to move your body, because none of us skip to a workout. No one's like, hey, I'm going to work out. Okay, sometimes I do, but some mornings I work out in the morning, and some mornings, nowadays, especially when the fall gets here, it's dark, it's cold, sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's snowy. I'm not like, woo, not at all. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, I got to go to the gym, but I go, and I'm going for the after. So I want you to think about, how can you move your body? It could be, going down and doing a 20-minute yoga session. It could be just, like I said, putting together a couple different exercises. And you don't have to have this crazy gym equipment. It can just be body weight stuff. So I want you to think about, what are ways that you can easily, bring in 30 minutes of exercise without a lot of muss and fuss. Or you can hit the gym. I always like to say to people, I like to combine my fitness with friends. It's really nice to work out at the gym. I'm fortunate that, my husband and I have at least 2 to 3, workout dates a week. And, it's really nice to know someone else is going to the gym with you. I have friends that I meet and go for walks. So just decide, where are you going to fit in these fitness things. You could even do it at work. When I was in corporate, this woman Denise and I would schedule to have a meeting, and we're like, let's just go for a walk, and or let's go for a run, and we would run and have our meeting. So if that's possible for you, or take, if you're, I do a lot of virtual things, so if you can take it on the road, take it on the road. So, the 5th thing is self-care. Now, I know a lot of people talk about it, and it's not just manicures and pedicures. It's nice, but it's not just that. What self-care is really, I say, putting boundaries around you and your time, so that you aren't getting into that burnt out, stressed out place. It's that you are making the time for things you enjoy. If you enjoy reading, making the time to read a book, and it doesn't have to be a book for knowledge. It could be a trashy romance novel. You can make time to sit around and watch The Real Housewives and just binge on that stuff. What is it that gives you pleasure? What is it that helps you take that nice, big, deep breath? Or just sit around and just focus on nothing, right? You're just having a quiet moment alone. I know with kids, sometimes it's not possible. I have girlfriends who literally will just lock themselves in their closet or lock themselves in the bathroom and have 10 minutes of time. But, when my clients struggle with this, one of the things I always say is, on the airplane, they always say, put on your oxygen mask first. Because if you run yourself into a nub, you are not going to be there for your family. As much as you want to be there for your family, you're not, because you're too burnt out, you're too stressed out, and you might not be able to give them the same love and attention if you weren't a self cared for person. So, do what you can to make the time for this. It could be that bedtime. It could be, my bedtime ritual, it could be you take a bath before you go to bed. And your family knows when you're in the bathtub, silencio. The other thing to think about is your mindset. And so many people push this off. They don't think about it at all. And mindset moves mountains. Mindset is what makes you in that kind of the Henry Ford quote, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. And when, I made and mindset isn't something that is a light switch that one day you're Eeyore and one day you're who's that woman? Pollyanna. So it's not like you go from Eeyore where life is wah wah to, hey, everything's coming up roses. No, that's not what I'm saying. Mindset is a gradual thing. It is you noticing things. You noticing that your behavior isn't serving you and being able to shift. And being able to shift out of that Eeyore state into that Pollyanna state. And, being able to do that on your own. And again, it's not an overnight thing. It's something that does take time. So, it goes back to the Arthur Ashe quote. Start where you are, right? So I've given you 5 things. Now, depending on where your mindset is, your mindset could be like, oh snap, I got to do it all. But where I'm saying is, in this mindset, let's scale it back. What can you do? Maybe you're good at sleep, so you need to focus on your stress. Maybe you're not stressed out, so maybe you're going to focus on your nutrition. But it's really having that honest conversation with yourself and starting where you are. And saying, doing what you can. Can you afford to go to a gym? Can you just do stuff at home? Where are you? And take that assessment of where you do what's possible for you right in the here and the now. And then, with what you have, these are my resources, and live in that pocket for now. And then once you mastered that block, then we can move on to the next block. And so now it's I want you to think about, it's like a house. We're building the foundation, and then we're going to the next level, the next level, the next level. And as you go to these levels, then you can start adding some new complexity. But for right now, I want you to keep it simple. I want you to think about, it's vanilla ice cream. It's not vanilla ice cream with a couple sprinkles of almonds in it. It's just vanilla ice cream for now. And maybe at some point, you could put a little couple sprinkles of almonds on it. And the other thing is, I want you to focus on daily gratitude. Focus on what's going right, because it's so easy for us to get down that rabbit hole and think about all the crap that's going wrong in our lives. So I've given you 6 big blocks to think about. I really want you to think about where you are and where you need to focus. And then I want you to think about, what's possible for you right now. And, I'm a big journaler, so I would sit down and journal it. Take 15 minutes. Press pause on your life and make some decisions around that. And it's possible for you to, hit all of these and live a really good life. Do I fire on all cylinders and all these all the time? No, but I'm at that mindset piece where I'm like, you know what? My stress level, a week and a half ago, my stress level was boop. And I recognized it, and I said, you know what? I have to pull myself out of the situation because I'm going crazy. And so I want you to be able to get into that same space. And, kind of bring yourself down to, self-soothe, if you will. So, think about it, and, be honest. And there's no judgment, because all of this can shift and change from day to day. If all 5 of these, or all 6 of these are rocking, then now it's just a matter of how long can you sustain that state. And it's really what I'm ultimately going for is how can you sustain that state. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. I'd love to hear from you where you are. Do me a favor, hit me up on social media, Kim Jefferson Coach on Facebook. You can also hit me up on Instagram, Kim Jefferson Coach, or just shoot me an email, squadleader@fabfitsquad.com. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be off for 1 week, but I'll be back on November the 13th. And I'm going to be talking about self-discipline. And that is this myth of willpower. If I only had willpower, if I only had motivation, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not really that. And I'm going to talk about how do you have that self-discipline so that, I have a client who's like a big sports fan, so that, when the Patriots play on Sunday, you're not, head deep into the bean dip and the nachos and all the other, foods that typically go with football. So have a fabulous couple of weeks, and I will talk to you again on November the 13th. And if you have anything in the meantime, feel free to hit me up on my socials or shoot me an email. Have a fabulous evening.